Hello everyone, my name is David McLeod. I am your Life Mastery Coach, co-author of the Amazon International best-selling books, The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care, 25 Tools for Stress Relief, and 25 Tools for Happiness. I'm also the author of the book, A Life to Die For. Welcome to another episode of Life Mastery Soul Memos, my monthly series aimed at helping you to expand and magnify your life one simple idea at a time. This is episode number 8 for April 2021, and it's called Authentic Power. In most cultures around the world today, people seem to use the words power and force almost interchangeably, even though they have quite different meanings. Confusion about these two terms is compounded by the fact that even in physics, we define them in terms of qualities and characteristics related to the material world. For example, in physics, force is defined as any unopposed interaction that affects the motion of an object, while power is defined as the amount of energy transferred or converted per unit of time. You can see that the terms describe two different quantitative aspects of the physical world, and yet even someone who is not trained in physics can see that there is a relationship between these two quantities. That common element is energy. Since energy must be expended in order to exert a force, then we can measure the time and energy required to complete the interaction and therefore come up with a measure of the power involved. All right. I don't want to get too bogged down in physics here. That's not the point. My point really is to show how these two quite different ideas can be related in the physical world and thus may be confused in our minds. For years, I've had an innate and intuitive understanding about the difference between power and force. In my own experience, force definitely seems to be something physical, but power seems to transcend the physical and bring us into the non-physical realms of consciousness and spirituality. A few years ago, I was introduced to the writings of David Hawkins, a brilliant doctor and psychiatrist who has done a lifetime of study about consciousness. He has written many different books on the topic of consciousness, and perhaps his greatest achievement is his development of a more or less complete map of consciousness that seems to apply to all beings everywhere. Well, I recently read his book, Power versus Force, and I found it to be exhilarating, exciting, and also challenging in many respects. I don't resonate with everything he says in his book, but I find most of it to be quite relevant and useful material, and in many ways, enlightening. Hawkins sees force as a physical, ego-based action or behavior that is intended to exert control over external conditions. Power, on the other hand, is more of a spiritual essence that can never be affected against its will by any physical action. Well, this is an awesome distinction, I think, something that resonates as absolutely true for me in the very core of my being. Now, if you've followed any of my articles, videos, or podcasts, then you've heard me talk a lot about the distinction between the ego mind and the soul. Hawkins provides a wealth of material that synchronizes to a very large extent with what I have come to believe on my own, and his ideas about power and force are no exception. When you think about it, it becomes clear very quickly that the exertion of force, whether it's to control circumstances or people, comes from a fear-based ego mind that is trying to create a sense of safety and security in order to protect itself from what it sees as countless enemies and dangers everywhere. The ego mind persists in believing that if it can summon up enough force, then it can cause all conditions and circumstances to come under its control, which means that nothing outside of itself will be able to cause it any hurt or pain. In other words, the ego mind's fear-based beliefs and behaviors are all about protecting itself from damage, disappearance, or annihilation. Ironically, what the ego mind doesn't seem able to recognize, even after countless failed attempts, is that there is no way to control all circumstances and conditions. It's like trying to build a fully contained ant farm. No matter how secure the structure may be, sooner or later, some of those ants are going to escape and find their way into the great big world. And this is because the ants all possess a certain essential power that no force can possibly control. I call that essence authentic power, to differentiate it from the physics terminology. What is really interesting about this whole concept is that authentic power can never be overcome by any force, no matter how big and strong that force may be. Ego mind force emanates out of fear and is therefore associated with destroying enemies. But authentic power, the true essence of the soul, emanates out of love, which understands that there really are no enemies, and therefore no need for force at all. Authentic power is love, fully expressed. Authentic power knows that it can stand in its own sovereignty without any need to prove itself or have control over anything. Authentic power does not react to situations, but responds with its own true essence, which is love. Authentic power is the ultimate form of unconditional presence and witnessing, and expresses itself honestly, openly, truthfully, and vulnerably, with no attachment to any particular outcome. There's so many more things I could say about authentic power, but I'm sure by now you get what I'm talking about. The thing I want you to remember, the real meat of this soul memo, so to speak, is that you have access to this authentic power all the time. No matter what might be going on in your world, no matter how your ego mind might be reacting in the moment. When your ego mind is busy chattering in your head, it may seem like authentic power is nothing more than a memory or a dream. But the truth is, your authentic power is never more than a single breath away. If you simply pause in the moment, take a deep breath, and begin to focus your attention internally and follow your breath, you will quickly come to calmness and serenity. And in that place, you'll be instantly reconnected to your sovereign nature, and authentic power will simply be there, just as it has always been there. If you are new to the Wellness Universe, I want to thank you for showing up. Woo is a truly wonderful place to be for pretty much anything. But if you are seeking information or support in your personal growth, health, well-being, and general good vibes, then you'll find all kinds of world changers, coaches, authors, speakers, poets, musicians, and healers of every description to help you on your journey. Check out the website at thewellnessuniverse.com. And make sure to look for me and connect with me when you get there. Okay? That's thewellnessuniverse.com. THEWellnessuniverse.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been my honor to be here with you. May you always be aware of your authentic power and remember to respond to everything from a place of unconditional love, which is an essential aspect of your true nature. I'll see you next time on Life Mastery Soul Memos. Bye-bye.